the striking feature of the US to any outsider is, I'm sorry to say this, is you don't pay any tax. The federal income tax at the moment generates about 6 or 7% of GDP, which to a European is a joke. Now, even if you throw in all the state and other taxes, the US is taxing itself at way below 30% of GDP. That's not enough to support anything like a modern state in current circumstances, in my view. And of course, it does so through a wildly, insanely inefficient tax system on so many different levels. I can't even begin to talk about it. So and that's, of course, related to the structural budget deficits, which are essentially a function of the fact that you have legislated some extraordinarily expensive welfare programs, including open-ended support for the most inefficient medical system on earth, without being willing to raise the taxes on the people who have the money to pay for it. This is a reflection of a political dysfunction of a high order, and all of which is incredibly easy to resolve technically and obviously politically impossible. And technically running the European, since the US has a relatively high underlying growth rate, it has the lowest tax burden of any developed country. It has an incredibly inefficient healthcare system. You pay for your Medicare, you pay as high a share of GDP as we do for the entire NHS, which covers the entire country. And I'd like to point out our life expectancy is longer, and our infant mortality is lower. So basically nuts. And so all this is incredibly soluble. If only other countries had these problems. Will any of it be solved? At the moment, I'm getting increasingly concerned that it won't be. And then, of course, there will be profound, deep, self-inflicted wounds. The US will choose to be dysfunctional. It doesn't have to be. These problems, if you talk to moderately sensible professionals on either side of the ideological divide, though not at the extremes, it really wouldn't be very difficult to devise fiscal reforms, expenditure reforms, which provided the necessary ingredients of a modern and successful state, dealt at least in substantial part, though not fully, with what's happening in income inequality. You can't deal with that fully, and sustain a reasonably functioning US state. I think all of these are eminently possible, but I am beginning to be concerned that it won't happen.